In the battle between the White House and House Democrats, the president may have created a bizarre and to some perhaps an unwelcome bit of optics today by walking President Clinton into the White House briefing room. And in our fourth story, literally handing over a news conference to him. After the two leaders met in the Oval Office today, they made an unscheduled visit to the White House briefing room, having to find the key first, reportedly. President Obama made brief remarks and then turned the podium over to the former president, who endorsed Mr. Obama's deal with the Republican leadership.
The agreement taken as a whole is, I believe, the best bipartisan agreement we can reach to help the largest number of Americans and to maximize the chances that the economic recovery will accelerate and create more jobs, and to minimize the chances that it will slip back.
About 10 minutes after that, President Obama reminded reporters that he was late for the White House staff Christmas party, and he exited stage left, leaving the news conference to President Clinton.
I've been keeping the First Lady waiting for about half an hour, so I'm going to take off.
And I don't want to make her mad. Please go.
You're in good hands.
During the 20-plus minutes that followed, the former president was asked if his appearance might bother Democrats who worry that President Obama, like President Clinton in his day, is triangulating.
I have an enormous amount of respect for the Democrats in the House. And I've already told you, I regret that so many of them lost. I think some of our best people lost. And I get where they're coming from. I can only tell you that my economic analysis is that given all the alternatives that I can imagine actually becoming law, this is the best economic result for America. And I think it is enormous relief for America to think that both parties might vote for something, anything that they could both agree on.
Let's turn now to Washington Post associate editor, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist Eugene Robinson, also the author of Disintegration, the Splintering of Black America. Gene, good evening.
Evening, Keith.
All right, what about the optics of that after everybody sort of rubbed their eyes a few times? See you, talk to this guy.
Yeah, kind of strange to have a former president there once again commanding the briefing room at the White House. Two ways to look at it. One, it's just kind of, I think, unprecedented. I don't know, I can't think of that having happened before, and kind of weird. The other way you could look at it is, you know, one of the Barack Obama's problems is not insecurity, and he seems perfectly secure in kind of leaving the podium to Bill Clinton.
What impact did President Clinton's appearance have on this entire debate, do you suppose?
I think it actually gives cover to some Democrats who believe that ultimately they're going to end up holding their nose and voting for this thing, who don't like it, who recognize all that is ugly and wrong and twisted about some of the provisions in this piece of legislation or this package of legislation, but who ultimately who may not agree with President Clinton that this is such a great thing for the economy, but who may agree that they're likely not to get a better deal and, in fact, likely to get a worse deal.
Speaking of people who are going to hold their nose and support this, your column today, you argued that Democrats should reluctantly accept this deal. Your prime rationale for that being what?
My prime rationale is essentially that, you know, this is a fight that should have been had a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, and I believe Democrats could have and gotten a much better deal for working Americans, for middle-class Americans, and could have gotten rid of the tax cuts for the rich. It was postponed. It wasn't brought up until after the election. We all know what happened in the election. And the fact is that the Republicans will run out the clock. If Democrats defeat this, the Republicans will run out the clock until the new Congress. And I start thinking of Yeats, William Butler Yeats, and you know, a rough beach slouching toward Bethlehem. I mean, the new Congress is going to be very different, and any sort, you know, I just don't think you're going to see Senate Democrats God bless Bernie Sanders. But I don't think that solidarity that you saw today is going to continue for more than a few weeks, perhaps, in the new Congress, if indeed if they can get it together at all. I think the Senate Democrats will cave, and in the end we'll get a much, much worse deal on unemployment insurance extension, on the tax cuts, perhaps on the estate tax. They may try to get rid of it altogether. It could be really ugly.
Gene, you know my affection for you, but I think you're mistaken. If the Bush tax cuts are going to get kicked down the road, this same entire scenario will play out in 2 years. They'll push to roll over the payroll holiday next year. Taxes are going up for families making $40,000 or less and individuals making $20,000 or less. And this Huffington Post analysis says the taxes of 50 million low-paid Americans will go up, even if it's just a few dollars. They don't have a few dollars. How in the hell can this be better than nothing? I think it's worse than nothing.
You know, Keith, you and I don't disagree on very many things, and you know, I mean, I'm not huge about the Yankees, but other than that, we're pretty close. That column was physically painful for me to write. But that's my honest view. I just honestly can't see Democrats getting a better deal for the American people out of the new Congress coming in, and it shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't be in this position. This is unjust. What's happening? It's wrong, and we should do everything we can to stop it. But I don't. You know, I know why we should stop it. I just don't know how.
You're right, certainly about one thing, which we agree entirely. The pusillanimous behavior of all Democrats over the summer is the origin point of this. But after that, I don't. When I did the special comment the other night, I had that same physical sensation writing it of just, I wish somebody had done something smart earlier. In any event, Gene Robinson of the Washington Post, I still love you. Take care. Have a good weekend.
You too, Keith.